Hi everyone. My name is Abby. I'm Mazkira and National Director of B'nai Kiva this year. And we're really excited to be having this information evening with you all. So I'm just going to introduce the other people who are with. Sorry about that. I'm just going to introduce the other people here who are with me this evening. So we've got Hannah Rubin, who is the COO of B'nai Kiva, and Aaron Gillis from Salim, who is the Director of Incoming Tourism, and Salim is the tour provider that we work with for Islam Machane. And we're now going to share the screen. I'm just going to go through kind of an overview of what's going to happen this evening. Okay, so the dates of Islam Machane, as you are all aware, are the 1st to the 22nd of July. And on the next slide, we're just going to see exactly what's going to happen this evening. So what will we cover this evening? Firstly, we're going to cover any important information. Firstly, we're going to cover why B'nai Kiva is Machane, what are the reasons you should choose BA, the partners that we work with on the ground in Israel and from the UK, and the structure of the Seva and the people who look after your children while we're on Israel Machane, the Tochne, exactly what we do, what the programming looks like, updating you, the process in which we use to update you both prior to going on the trip and during, insurance and how those policies work, our cancellation terms and conditions, any other important information, and safety and security, which is obviously a big focus of what we're going to talk about this evening. So we've also taken into consideration any questions that have been asked since the launch by you guys, and we're going to aim to cover as much of that as possible tonight, but feel free to add any comments on the YouTube and we'll try and get through as many of them as we can at the end of the presentation. So why B'nai Kiva Islam Machane? Firstly, the tagline for B'nai Kiva Islam Machane is more than just a tour. We pride ourselves on being more than just a fun trip. And the tagline for this year in particular is more important this year than ever before. So everything that we do in B'nai Kiva and specifically on Islam Machane is rooted in forging a deep personal connection to Judaism through experiencing the land of Israel. Your children are not going to have another opportunity to have a summer like this, like Islam Machane. The educational and the life-changing moments that are created through the trip form and continue to form your child's connection and love for Israel, and there's really nothing else like it. So our three pillars in B'nai Kiva are Am Yisrael, Eretz Yisrael, and Torah Yisrael. So what does that mean? Am Yisrael, the people of Israel, on Islam Machane, you really have an opportunity to experience the culture of Israeli society, the diverse society, issues in Israeli society, to meet Israelis and talk to them about issues that might be going on. Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel, discovering the land through things like TLM, visiting the Negev and the Golan, and Torah Yisrael, really connecting to the land spiritually, trips to the Kotel, incredible Shabbatot, and delving into some of those texts that really connect us to our land. And then again, at the core of everything that we do at B'nai Kiva is experiential learning and informal education. That is something that we really pride ourselves on. And on Islam Machane, that is no different. So from educational activities created by the Madrachim in the groups to places like interactive museums and meeting new people, there'll be plenty of them to learn and gain from. And on top of that, whether you and your children are new to B'nai Kiva or your children have been through all of the machanot and this is another stage of their B'nai Kiva, this is really the beginning of the journey of leadership within B'nai Kiva. This is where we start encouraging our chanachim to start thinking about how is it that they want to be leaders in their communities? What do they want to bring back from the trip to add to their communities? And what's that going to look like? So I'm now going to hand over to our COO, Hannah Rubin, and she is going to talk you through the various partners that we have on Islam Machane.
Thank you, Abby. So I just wanted to use this opportunity to draw your attention to our two key partners that we work with on Israel Machane. We, together with our partners UJIA, Israel Experience, and Telalim, have taken the decision to run Israel Machane this year. We completely understand that is a difficult decision for you all to make, and we want to ensure that you have as much information as possible to make an informed decision for you and your family. Our number one priority, together with UJIA Israel Experience, which is a department of the Jewish Agency, and Telalim, is first and foremost the safety, security, and welfare of all our participants and staff. And at any stage between now and July, if we do not feel like we can provide a safe program, we will not run Israel Machane. So I want to firstly start off with an apology from UJIA. When we had to rearrange this, they are not able to join us this evening, but I'm going to be touching upon their involvement now, and then handing over to Aaron to discuss Telalim's involvement. So the UJIA is the umbrella organization of the whole Israel Tour community. They take the lead on crisis management for Israel Machane. They have a team of trained individuals who are responsible for coordinating all responses in a crisis situation. They provide full support to Bnei Akiva, both on the ground in Israel and here in the UK. And they have a number of supporting partners who are responsible for different areas of that management plan and ensuring that the safety and security of our participants is always at the forefront of every single decision made. They're responsible for the application process together with us. They coordinate the flights with El Al. They hold the relationship with El Al. They work on the cancellations and deviations. And they also run an intense Madrachim training program for our Madrachim here in the UK. That's already begun in the lead up to Israel and deepens and gets stronger as we are in the lead up to July. The training has been specifically tailored this year under the current circumstances, and our Madrachim will be taking a bigger focus on areas of safety and security in that training in the lead up to Israel Machane in July. They provide around-the-clock welfare support during Israel Machane, and they also ran their own briefing last week for the community, and I urge all of you to watch that briefing as well on their YouTube page to get a deeper understanding of their involvement in the Israel Machane process. I'm now going to pass on to Aaron Gillis. He's a former Boger of Bnei Akiva. He was Israel worker for us in 2012, and he's going to speak to you about Telalim's role in Israel Machane. Telalim is our tour provider that we use for Israel Machane. They've been running the tour since the 1980s and bringing groups from all over the world to Israel, and they've been our partner in Israel Machane since 2012. So I'm going to pass on to Aaron to explain to you more.
Thanks for that, Hannah. I was indeed the Israel worker in 2012. I lived in Israel already prior to that, and for the last almost 20 years have been in Israel. I currently live in Modi'in with my wife and 3 daughters. And I've been working at Telalim for the past 11 years, but Telalim has been around as a company dealing with both internal tourism, so we work with 300 high schools, all the Israeli youth movements, Bnei Akiva, Ezra, Hanor, Halvid, throughout the spectrum of Israeli society, and also with groups from all over the world, so from North America, the UK, Europe, South Africa, Australia, bring groups from all over there, and the peak of that is in the summer season, where we have close to 2,000 participants on the ground on a regular year. So I'm going to cover these 5 points, and we'll also link back to them. Some of them I will link back to, and some of them Hannah will link back to later on in the presentation. So starting with security, the key point regarding to security is our work with Cheder Matzav. So Cheder Matzav, or in English, the Situation Room, is a subsidiary of the Ministry of Education. It's also known sometimes as Moked Teva. And they are the body that concentrates all the different safety and security guidelines for groups on the ground in Israel. So that can be, if you have a situation, for example, where you require a security update. You don't need to, we as a tour company don't need to approach the IDF or the Home Front Command or Magen David Adom or the police, or everything is taken care of by one concentrated body called Cheder Matzav. They receive all the information from all those organizations, and they also have all the details of all of our groups on the ground on any given day, up to like to the minute. So all of our schedules are sent to them in advance, approved by them. They tell us what safety and security requirements are required for any given area that we are going to be in with a group. And they will also be the ones who update us with any changes that are needed to be made as a result of a given situation. So, as I said, I've been here since 2012. So in 2014, for example, where there was Operation Protective Edge and there was security threats on the ground, all of the groups were here. It was during July, and we were able to, in a dynamic way, change the program and make the necessary adjustments to keep everyone in Israel. And you know, the proof was in the pudding. No one went home, and everyone stayed in Israel at that time. Medical insurance, so we cover, there are different types of insurance that are covered on the program, but we are the ones that provide the medical insurance through Harel, which is the largest insurance company in Israel. They provide a very comprehensive medical insurance coverage, and we also add an additional coverage. So there's a basic level of insurance, and we add a pre-existing insurance addition to that, which covers pre-existing conditions which have been stable for the past 6 months. So we'll touch on that a little bit later, but that is a very comprehensive policy. We take care of all the logistics, so from booking accommodation, which was already done several months ago, to booking the sites that the groups visit, the transportation, the meals for the groups every day. We cover all of that. Keshev is an organization that we work with, so they're a partner of ours, who we work with. They provide welfare coverage for our groups. So the last 2 summers we've been working with them with great success. They provide, in addition to the comprehensive coverage of the UJA and Bnei Akiva, who have their welfare officers, we also have an organization on the ground who specializes in that. They work with all the gap year programs with Birthright, and they help us during the summer with the groups from the UK as well. And we take care of the Israeli Madrachim recruitment. So on each group, Israel Machane group, there are 2 Israeli Madrachim, one who is a fully qualified Ministry of Tourism tour guide, and one who is an additional Israeli Madrich. And we take care of their recruitment and also the first part of their training, but also an additional part of the training, linking back to what Hannah just said on the previous slide, is something which is unique to the UK programs, which we don't have with any other program that we run from around the world. The UJA invests a lot of money in bringing all the British Madrachim to Israel before the groups arrive, so at the end of June. And they come out to Israel for a week of intensive training with their Israeli co's. And a big focus on that this year will be on safety and security as well, but they get to work together physically in preparation for the program. Okay, so I touched on a lot of this stuff in the previous slide. Let's see if there's anything additional here. Yeah, so we've had groups here for the last, almost since a few weeks after October 7th, and even, some groups, for example, gap year groups who we have on the ground have stayed here throughout that entire time. We've been able to, together with Cheder Matzav, facilitate them being able to stay in the country, and that includes also Bnei Akiva's gap year programs. But also short-term programs have been going on for the past several months as well. We've had, at the beginning, trips which were more solidarity and volunteering based, but now also trips which would usually come on a routine basis each year have started to come back, and we hope that will continue on to the summer, to July, to when Israel Machane comes to Israel. I'll just pass back on to Hannah now.
Thank you, Aaron. So I just wanted to pick up from where Aaron left off, and to start by saying that B'nai Akiva, together with the entire tour network, unfortunately has had to run Israel Machane during times of conflict and intifadas before. And as Aaron mentioned, specifically with regards to gap year programs and Israel Machane, we have been able to run safe and meaningful and enjoyable programs throughout those difficult times. I'll just give a couple of examples. With Protective Edge in 2014 and the Second Lebanon War in 2006. Yes, there were program changes. Specifically in 2006, we didn't go to the north, but we still managed to safely run a meaningful program. And again, as mentioned before, the safety, security, and welfare of all Chanechim and Madrachim and any member of the Sevets and staff always comes first in every decision that is made. I'm going to go on now to speak a little bit further about the Sevet and the team on the ground in Israel and in the UK during Israel Machane. So the staff that we have is there will be a Rosh of Israel Machane. The Rosh's responsibility is to be on the ground, moving between the groups, responsible for the support of our Madrachim, of our Chanechim, part of our welfare team. When Madrachim need to escalate things on the ground, the Roshim and the Skanim, who will be joining as well, are the ones on the ground coordinating everything going on in Israel with the UK office here as well. And they are the decision maker on the ground in Israel for us during Israel Machane. The Skanim, again, are very much there for the support of the Madrachim and Chanechim. They are there for as part of the behavior and the code of conduct system. They are the first response on the ground when it comes to discipline and decisions made with regards to that. And they also help provide our Madrachim and Chanechim, specifically our Madrachim as well, with the educational support that they need to run Israel Machane. Now, each group has 4 Madrachim. They are made up of 2 English Madrachim and 2 Israeli Madrachim. One of the Israeli Madrachim will be specifically trained, has been on an intensive training course to be a tour guide. And this year we will also be joined by an armed security guard, with the group at all times. This is often something that the Chedemat Tzav requires at certain areas that we visit, but we have decided this year, given everything going on, that will be something that will be with the group, the individual groups at all times. We also have a massive support system behind the scenes. Again, both on the ground, there are people from Tchalim and UJA on the ground in Israel on call 24/7. We have a number of different teams working both here in the UK and in Israel on welfare support, on logistics support, a Rakaz who will be in charge of kind of the on-the-ground logistics during our program. And the entire team that I have mentioned, as well as many others that continue to support throughout Israel Machane, are on call 24/7 for the entirety of the program. So we really, really do have a massive network involved in the running of Israel Machane. Now, I wanted to touch briefly on the Tochnit, the program. I obviously don't want to go into too much detail because I could tell you one thing today and things could look very differently tomorrow. So of course, as Aaron said, in conjunction and coordination with the Chedemat Tzav, that program is constantly being reviewed and changed. But I wanted to just draw your attention to some of the things that we are hoping to cover during the program. When we're building the Tochnit for Israel Machane, we ensure that the ideology, as Abby mentioned at the beginning, is at the forefront of everything that we're doing. We work extremely closely with Aaron and the team at Tchalim to ensure that the itinerary of Israel Machane meets those needs and is with a clear vision. And with this year in particular, spending a larger focus and emphasis on volunteering opportunities across Israel. We really want to make sure that we are not in Israel just being tourists and on holiday, but rather actually living our ideology of Avodah, building the land of Israel, and really giving the Chanechim, the participants, an opportunity to deepen their connection with the land of Israel. Our aim for Israel Machane is to ensure, obviously, that first and foremost, the participants have a safe, meaningful, educational, but also a fun experience. And we hope that that includes an itinerary filled with exciting opportunities across the country. You will receive an itinerary in the lead up to Israel Machane. This is always subject to change. And again, based on the updates that we receive from Khadamat Sav and the situation in Israel at the time, those changes might need to be made. But just some examples of the places that you'll be visiting, whether it will be the Bly Museum or Yad Vashem, hiking around the country, both in water and on land, experiencing the desert, experiencing Bedouin hospitality, meeting with Israelis from all across the country, running activities for those children that have been displaced in the last couple of months, and a number of different other things. Again, I don't want to go into too much detail because a lot can change with regards to the program, but they are kind of the initial hopes and visions for the program. Now, we obviously understand that as well as our partners, Telalim and UJA, you here this evening when signing up for Israel Machane enter that partnership. And we obviously understand the importance of communication with you, updating you and making sure that you're aware of what's going on in the grounds at all times. I just wanted to set out the expectations in terms of communication. Like every year, there will be daily email updates, except for Shabbat. This will be a detailed email of the day that the individual groups have had, with also sharing photos and hopefully some thoughts from the Hanachim, the participants themselves. There will be social media pages dedicated to Israel Machane that will be regularly updated so you can be kept up to date with photos. There is a 24/7 emergency pager. This will link to our head office in the UK, and in need of an emergency, we are always contactable. Again, together with UJA and Salim, the crisis management plan is always there, and when necessary, live updates will get to you. So on top of the daily email, if there is information that we need to share to you, if there is safety updates or whatever it might be, you will receive those in live time from us and from UJA. And we are also offering a pathway to a SIM card package so that you can keep obviously in communication with your children during Israel Machane. Okay, we're going to go on to insurance now. Aaron, if you can kindly just explain in a bit more detail the medical, and then I will explain the travel.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, so I touched on this earlier, and I'll go into it in a little bit more detail. But we provide the groups with medical insurance through Harel. It's a private health insurance, a very comprehensive package, includes doctors coming to visit the group. It includes virtual options, a very, very comprehensive package, which we've been using for many years. Usually those pre-existing conditions would be excluded, but now we are providing the additional coverage, which covers pre-existing conditions which have been stable for the past 6 months. Again, once medical forms are reviewed, the office in the UK will be in touch with you regarding that. The only exclusion of that coverage really is injuries which are as a direct result of war. So if God forbid there was an injury as a direct result, though that is covered in the same way as an Israeli citizen would be, anyone who has entered Israel legally as a tourist from a country that is from a visa exempt country, such as the UK, they would be covered by the Israeli government coverage for that, which includes comprehensive medical coverage, travel coverage. That is publicly available information on the Israeli National Insurance website. And also, if it got to it as well, El Al has been flying throughout this entire period, and they would be repatriated via their El Al flight after the medical care was taken care of. One thing which I didn't know earlier, so just skip back just for a second to when we were talking about safety and security, the development of the past few weeks has been the Home Front Command has updated so they're one of the big feeders to Cheder Matzav. The Home Front Command, Picud Oref, has updated their guidelines over the past few weeks to allow for tiulim, for groups to travel in over 90% of Israel. So there's a small area of the Gaza envelope which is currently not able to be visited for groups, and also an area north of Akko, so in the Western Galilee, so north of Akko, so like Nahariya and onwards, is an area which is currently not able to be visited by groups, and the insurance wouldn't cover you in those areas, but we would not be visiting those areas in any case because we go according to the Cheder Matzav guidance, and that is changed and updated on a daily basis. So we receive the updated map, which tells us where groups are and are not allowed to travel, and that links back into the medical insurance where it's covered in any of those green zones.
Thank you so much, Aaron. I also just wanted to remind you, if you have any questions that you want to have us answer towards the end, just pop them in the comments section below, and we'll try and answer as many of those as possible. So just to explain now about the travel insurance policy, this is a comprehensive policy that we have been using since the end of COVID. So it is the same policy that we have been using for the last couple of years. It covers us even when the FCDO guidance is what it currently is, and it includes lost, damaged, and delayed luggage. It covers cancellations, curtailment, things such as family bereavements, personal injury. It does not cover claims caused as a direct result of war, but as Aaron mentioned, from a medical perspective especially, we are covered, and we have the coverage of the Israeli government for those things. So this is not a new policy to us. This is a policy that we've been working with for the last couple of years. And for more information on that policy will be available on our website, on the Israel Machane page, for you to look at in more detail after this presentation. So I wanted to move on to the cancellation policy. So this year, given the circumstances, obviously, of the kind of huge scale decision that you guys need to make, we were able to secure that up until the 18th of March, that's Monday, the 18th of March, you can receive a full refund, including your deposit back. We completely understand that this might be a decision that takes some time, and we're not here to force or rush anyone into making that decision. So you have until March the 18th for a full refund, including your deposit. After this date, the normal cancellation policy will apply. The policy can be found on our terms and conditions and in the Israel Machane brochure on our website. And if you have any further questions on that policy, then please feel free to contact us at head office. If Bnei Akiva has to cancel Israel Machane, as I mentioned earlier, we have a number of different security partners, and I wanted to bring your attention to just some of the examples of what might lead to the decision of Israel Machane being cancelled. First of all, our security partners, Cheder Matzav, the National Security, Home Front Command, deem that it is not safe for Israel Machane to continue. That could lead to us cancelling. And also, as Aaron mentioned earlier, El Al cancelling flights between UK and Israel. That hasn't happened since October, so we can't see that happening over the next couple of months. I just also wanted to share an example of something that happened with Talim in October. They were due to have a group arrive in Israel on October the 8th. Obviously, they weren't able to come. The Cheder Matzav said it wasn't safe for them to come, and they received, in terms of the land costs from Talim, a full refund. So I just really wanted to emphasize that, in the event of war and escalation in Israel, or any uninsurable event, Salim, Alal, our partners that we work with, really will endeavor to limit the financial risk and really will do everything they can to get as much money back to you as possible. So even in terms of our cancellation policy as well, that is always the case. We will really try to do everything we can to get as much money back to you as possible. Okay, I just wanted to finish by drawing your attention to some important information. Again, as Abby mentioned, the dates at the beginning, the 1st to the 22nd of July. The price of Israel Machane is 4,299. That includes everything you need for Israel Machane, bar our membership of Mas Chaver, and spending money on the ground. But otherwise, everything is included in that. Should you need to apply for any financial assistance, that is available both through B'nai Akiva and UJA and is treated, as always, in complete confidentiality. There is also an interest-free loan system that the UJA offer, and the deadline for the bursary applications is Monday, the 4th of March. And the deadline to apply for Form 1, so your initial application and your deposit, is also the 4th of March. Again, drawing your attention to Monday, the 18th of March is the deadline for your full application, and the last opportunity to cancel and get 100% of your money back. And just looking further down the line at full payment due by Wednesday, the 17th of April. Wednesday, the 17th of April. So I'm going to unshare my screen now. Abby, if there are any questions or anything that we need to go back to and clarify, now will be the opportunity.
Okay, so I think there's only one question or a couple of questions that have come through. The first question is, what about Sfat in light of today's rockets? I think it'd probably be good to just touch on any programming in general that might have to change and how that might work.
Of course, Aaron, do you want to just go into a bit more detail on that?
Yeah, sure, with pleasure. Yeah, so for example, we had not groups from abroad, but Israeli groups, several schools doing Tiyulim today, doing groups on the ground, and Cheder Matzav were in touch with us. They have changed the guidelines for Tzfat just for the next 24 hours at the moment. So groups who were planned to go there tomorrow are currently not going there. But it is very dynamic. Again, like this is something I know, from 2014, definitely, that this is something that we were just, it was dynamic. Like I said, there would be sirens in certain places, and sometimes the Cheder Matzav, again, we're not security experts. We don't know what leads them to make a specific decision. Sometimes it would lead them to say, okay, this area now has slightly different security requirements, and we would recommend not traveling there. And even if that meant staying in a different accommodation and having to move the group's accommodation from one day to the next, we did that, and we will do that again. Definitely when it comes to just visiting a place, Tzfat happens to be a place where we don't stay physically in an accommodation there, but visiting there, it could be if Cheder Matzav were to say that, for X amount of time, we're not going to go there to see how the situation develops. And that's what we'll do. So that goes for Tzfat, and it goes for anywhere else. So obviously an unfortunate development. If we had to guess one of the questions from tonight, I think we all guessed that might have been one of the questions. But yeah, as I said, it's dynamic. That's what we work with Cheder Matzav for, exactly for these changing situations. They change their guidelines, and as a result, we change ours. Or we make the changes on the ground.
Okay, thank you so much. Aaron, there's just one more question that's come through. How much money do you recommend that the kids take with them?
I mean, I don't know what is written in the formal guidelines for B'nai Akiva. Maybe Hannah, you can say what's in the information book, or everyone will be sent the information booklet which says how much is recommended to take. But in theory, the answer is nothing. They don't need to bring anything because everything is included in the program. In practice, people do like to bring a small amount of money because they want to buy an ice cream here or there. But there's no need to have any specific amount of spending money because everything is included in the cost of the program.
Thank you, Aaron. I just wanted to also use this opportunity to just really emphasize the importance of reading through everything. There are terms and conditions that come with the application process. And I really encourage you to all read those carefully, and to also use this opportunity to just based on the time frame that we have, encourage those that are already working on part 2 of the form, so that's form 2, to download and get those GP forms processed with your doctors as soon as possible, as they can take time in the lead up to the application deadline. Unless there are any other questions, Abby, I just want to finish off by saying that we are all here for all of you. We understand that you might want to speak to any of us in more detail about a number of different elements of Israel Machane, and we here at the UK head office are available at all times to have those conversations. If there are any questions you have following this evening, anything you feel like we have not touched upon, or anything you just want more details on, please do contact us. You can email israel@bauk.org, or you can call the Buy It extension 3 will specifically go through to Israel Machane inquiries, or any of the staff will be happy to help. And if we can't, our partners at Salim and UJA Israel Experience, as well as a number of different partners that we work with, always are happy to go through anything and answer any of the questions as well. So please do feel free to reach out. We're here to support you over the next few months in the lead up to Israel Machane and into the decisions that you take with regards to signing up. So thank you so much for joining us, and have a good evening.